Aloha and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Austin Ajimura, and I'm so pleased to share with you this morning our project, which is the Hawai'i Behavioral Health Training Institute. Again, my name is Austin Ajimura. I'm currently a second-year Master of Public Health student at the University of Hawaii. Cool. And I'm joined here with my co-PI, our PI, and then also our co-PI who is on Zoom. I'm going to introduce Dr. Seunghey Hong.
Aloha, my name is Seunghey Hong. I'm PI of the HBHTI project, and I'm so pleased to be here. And thank you for having me here. And
I would like to introduce the co-PI of our project, Dr. Gwen Williams. Gwen, if you'd like to unmute and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm not there in the room with you, but I'm with the Zoomers. So nice to meet you. I'm from Leeward Community College. Aloha.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams.
Okay, and this is our agenda, and we're going to talk about HBHTI, what we are, and background and significance of our project. And then we'll go into the level 1 training, which is COSOP's counseling program at Leeward Community College. And the next, we are going to talk about on-the-job training, which is level 2 of our project. And then we will share overall HBHTI time frame. And then also we will have fun quiz for you. And then we will have closing and Q&A. About HBHTI, the purpose of our project is to support the recruitment and training of substance use disorder counselors in Hawaii, specifically focusing on rural and underserved communities. And location, probably you are all from across the state, and we serve trainings to all islands. Okay, funding, we got the funding from HRSA, federal agencies, which is Health Resources and Services Administration. And luckily we received $2.2 million for UH system across different community colleges and UH Manoa, and it's for 4-year funding. So we started last year, and then it will end in 2025.
And then when Gwen speaks, we'll put it on speaker.
Okay, great, thank you. Oops. In background, I'm going to share some of the federal initiatives. So within HRSA, there's a Bureau of Health Workforce, and here is a mission of them. So their mission is to improve the health of underserved populations, specifically by one, strengthening the health workforce, and two, connecting skilled professionals to communities in need. And in addition, I want to share the strategies for success that they highlight. One, they really want to recruit trainees from the communities we serve. And two, provide trainings in rural and underserved communities, and training into professional and collaborative teams. And for integrate behavioral health into primary care. So it's a federal and national initiative that highlights the integrative healthcare. So next, I would like to highlight some of the stats. And there are increase in drug-related deaths in Hawaii. Sadly, there were 157 deaths in 2018, and it's been increased to 197 deaths in 2020 per Honolulu Medical Examiner. And within that, the deaths due to drug overdose have been increased in Hawaii. And in 2015, there were 12 deaths per 100,000, whereas 19, almost 20 deaths per 100,000 in 2020. Okay. And as you see here, 236 neighbor island referrals were made to send clients to start treatment facilities on Oahu per ADAT stats. And there are apparently high demand for behavioral health services across the state, and there are personal shortage across all islands. And Hawaii ranked 44th in per capita service provided for SUDs. And nationally, there are 32 providers per 1,000 people with substance use disorders. And then you see here, the stats told us that we have 20 providers per 1,000 people with substance use disorders. So we need more substance use counselors. So HBHI training, so we are aligned with the Hawaii state initiatives as well. For example, 2022 state plan on substance use abuse, and it's provided by ADAD within Behavioral Health Administration and Hawaii Department of Health. So it highlights the need to invest in workforce development in substance use disorder counseling services with a special focus on one, again, rural and medically underserved areas, and we really need integrated care of substance use disorder treatment into primary care setting. So, we can start services to anyone who are needed for their substance use disorders. And also third, the sensitivity of diverse groups needs, including Native Hawaiians, and engagement culture, integrating these into such treatment. So we are in a huge need for culturally and linguistically sensitive services. So next, I'm gonna, Dr. Williams to go over the next slides.
Hello, everybody. I developed the Leeward Community College certificate program in 1994. It's a part-time 2-year program, and it was created to support the schedules of working people. Luckily, since COVID, we've also been able to go virtual for the first time since I think our first cohort began March 2020. When we had to immediately go online. So we explored it that year, and then the following year we opened up to synchronous opportunities for Neighbor Island enrollees, and we offer daytime and evening courses. There are 2 other human service programs that we closely work with on the Neighbor Islands. And in the Big Island, it's Hawaii Community College and then UH Maui College. And we also work with the Kauai Community College counselors to advertise our program and the potential for the grant award. If a student comes in with no AA degree, we highly encourage them to work towards securing that. To secure that certificate. And we let them know that when they finish the certificate, they're already a third of the way towards their AA degree. We have about 25 to 30% of entrants per year that enter with a BA or a master's degree. Even some PhDs enter to try and specialize and update their degrees and specialize in this field. So that's always wonderful to see. Okay, so you can see the benefits below. I won't go over those, and we can go to the next slide. Okay, we want to ensure that the trainees that come into our training have a diversity of backgrounds. And in the community college, we have a rich tapestry of people from various ethnic identities, culturally different, class differences, gender, religious affiliations. And with that being said, we wish to recruit and increase the participation of various target groups that are target groups from that we kind of inherit through HRSA's initiatives, but also the needs in Hawaii. And so some of those groups that we are particularly trying to target and recruit are Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders, Asian Americans, self-identified LGBTQ plus individuals, men and youth in their 20s, and particularly kind of trying to recruit some foster youth. And so what we know about some of these populations, particular to Hawaii, is that Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders in the stats make up about 21% of the total state population. But they make up about 40 to 60% of the prison population. They're disproportionately impacted by substance use disorders, and this is especially prominent with youth in our state, with about 11% of Native Hawaiian youth that are surveyed in grades 6 through 12 being diagnosed for substance misuse. There's about, I think ADAD had, I think it was ADAD stats in 2014 indicated that almost 42% of the statewide substance use treatment admissions were with Native Hawaiians. Okay, so there's a huge need for culturally appropriate training and engagement with the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander population. We also have very few people who are Asian Americans who work in this field nationally. I can't speak to Hawaii's stats on this, but nationally, there's only about 4% of counselors, SUD counselors, that are Asian American. Yet, in our state, Asian Americans engage in a high amount, 12% of Asian Americans are known to engage in a high amount of alcohol use and binge drinking. Yet there's cultural barriers often that exist and stand in the way of them getting and seeking treatment. So we'd like to recruit more people in this particular ethnic range. As well, men are just in the whole field of counseling has a dearth of men in general. This is exacerbated over many years. Nationally speaking, there's about 66% female who are all in the area of counselors, and in SUDS counselors, that's about the same amount, and 34% male. So we still have more men who are who misuse substances. However, that gender gap is narrowing, but we really need to bring more men into this field, and so that's another target group. Research indicates that this next category, LGBTQA plus, indicates that youth who identify as sexual or gender minorities exhibit some of the highest rates of substance use and the health risks that accompany that, like increased HIV. And so we know that on a national level, at least, there's about 14% of SUD counselors that self-identify from this group of people. We don't have stats for that in Hawaii. I think it's far less. And so we'd like to bring in more people and train more people who can actually work with peers. This is especially important with the youth. And we have a high amount, 58% apparently, that consume large amounts of alcohol and binge, and a quarter of those binge drink regularly. Okay, and the last area, foster youth and youth in general. SAMHSA indicates that this is one of the higher groups of people who misuse substances in the 18 to 25 year range. And so if we can get more people in that range coming to become substance use disorder counselors, even in that age, those working with high school, middle school, and some of our programs that work in harm reduction, I think would be really super important to strengthen. So that's what we're focused on in terms of our target groups. And then I think Dr. Hong talked about the initiative for the neighbor islands and to increase applicants and from those areas and rural areas. There's a huge unmet service need for the neighbor islands. And one of the highest areas of need and the highest substance use is on in Maui County, which also includes Lanai and Molokai. And it's 7.5% of individuals aged 18 and older have been identified as substance use misuse disorders. They have on Maui, they have the highest death rate in terms of opiate poisonings, whereas Hawaii County has the highest 35% of non-fatal poisonings. So this is an important initiative to increase our outreach, to bring in people into this program and train them to be able to work with their communities and their populations. I think Dr. Hong also spoke about the primary care settings and how we want to move into community health settings and the importance of reaching people early on. Okay, next slide. So what's the process of applying for our program? Just like pretty much applying for UH, you have to fill out the UH Common Application, and then you become registered in the Leeward Community College. We call it the COSUDS counseling program courses. We have 5 clinical courses that are completed in the first year, after which the individuals are eligible to apply to enter the fieldwork portion of the program, where they complete approximately 15 hours a week in a SUDS treatment facility over the second year. That's about 400 hours over the year. And I think this is pretty self-explanatory, except I will mention that the credits that people get from being in our program and graduating are 2,000 credit hours towards a 6,000 hour requirement that ADAD has before you can sit for the certification exam with the state. You can add on another 400 hours of the field work to go towards that requirement. Okay, next slide. So this is just a mention of the 3 cohorts that we now have. We brought in our first cohort that we actually didn't start funding until the spring semester. And you can see that amongst the neighbor islands, I think it totals to about 16 people that we've brought through or that are currently in the program and grant awardees, trainees, and 24 on Oahu. So we're making some headway, and we plan to continue kind of reaching out, especially to rural communities. Let me say a little bit something about this this demographic. Based upon the entrance survey for last year and the year before that, it's a 2-year program. So based upon the entrance survey information, we have about 30 to 40% of the enrollees have been Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander and non-traditional adults in the age range of 40 to 45 years. Our average is about 42 years old. We have about 20% that are previously incarcerated adults, and 25 to 35% enter the program with some kind of higher education, either completed AA degree, a BA, or a master's. We have about 10% that are veterans, and about 30 to 40% are in recovery, and 35% are men. In our first graduating cohort, half of the cohort, this is fairly high, self-identified as previously incarcerated, and 3/4 of them were in recovery. So we're talking about peers working with peers. A great number of the people who enter this program come from that background. Okay, next slide. So accomplishments. 100% of the awardees come from a disadvantaged backgrounds, 64% from underrepresented minority, 50% live in rural areas of Hawaii. That was our first cohort. The second cohort that came in this spring and is getting the first of their award in this fall semester, 13, were chosen, let's see, Yeah, third cohort, we just are going through and we're bringing on hopefully another 13. They applied this fall and they'll be receiving their tuition refund for classes that they're taking in our program, and then a stipend in the second year. We partnered over the course of the last year with 16 different field sites. About half of them are located in medically underserved and rural areas of the state, and you can see where they come from. We actually have to change the number 8 of the first awardees. We have it up to nine at this point of the 14 in the first year cohort have graduated. And what's exciting is that all of them got their AA degree at the same time they got their certificate. And all of those 9 are continuing on into their education, either in master's programs or in some came with a bachelor's, or into bachelor's programs. So we're super thrilled to have that happen. A number of them got positions in the field. When they were doing their field work, they were offered positions, which is always a great sign of a pretty good program, I think. So yeah, that's it. Then I pass it off to Dr. Hong.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about on-the-job training. And so after our trainees complete the level 1 consult counseling program. Sure, I will. Do you hear me well? Okay, great, thank you. Then they will participate on the job training. They will assign to their, so they are earning while learning. And as you see here, they will participate in 1,600 hours of employment-based and in-service training experience with local treatment agencies. And local agencies will be registered as apprenticeship site through Department of Labor and Industrial Relations, DLIR, and we are partnered with them. And also the level 2 trainees will participate in a professional development curriculum facilitated by us. And we are working on developing curriculum on culture, family system, and telehealth. Okay, and also the trainees will receive clinical supervised work hours that can be counted toward their CSAC. And up to half of the level 1 trainees will be selected as level 2 trainees. And benefits would be 7,500 stipends on top of their salaries. So that's what HBHTI can provide with a grant from HRSA. And then, yeah, I will move to the next slide. And this is our accomplishment. And we have established standards of apprenticeship program. And then we have partnered with 6 SUD treatment agencies, and very, very thankful for these agencies. So we have established the partnership with Hinamauka, Kokua Support Services, Care Hawaii, and Dynamic Healing Center on Oahu. And we have 2 agencies partners, Big Island Substance Abuse Council, BISAC, and Ohana Addiction Treatment Center on the Hawaii Island. And we have initiated collaborations with UH Outreach College, and we are developing courses. Next, Austin.
Okay, I'm going to speak on how to get involved with HBHTI. So later in the presentation, we'll show you a QR code and links to how to contact us to get involved. But I want to share the significance for connection with agencies. So our agencies provide our level 2 trainees with 1,600 hours of on-the-job training opportunities. So these are at one of the 6 sites that Dr. Hong mentioned. And really, what are the benefits for the agencies that we're connecting with through our program? So HBHTI will support agencies. We're going to help them to become certified apprenticeship programs. So we develop employer agreements as well as the standards of apprenticeship with the Department of Labor, which we've been working on and communicating with our agencies to get those apprenticeship partnerships initiated. We're also working to connect agencies, of course, with a talented applicant pool. So through the Leeward CC COSUDS program, level 1 and level 2, we're hoping to build and train our future substance use counselors, particularly substance use counselors who are trained to work in Hawaii with our very unique population, taking into account culture and linguistics as we talked about before. And of course, the agencies that we connect with through the HBHTI will connect with our other network of agencies to further support our workforce in this field. And so I know we kind of talked about a lot of things about our program, so I want to take a zoom out a little bit and just talk about the timeline. So from the registration and application process to getting, registering at LCC, enrolling in the COSUDS program. If the learner is accepted, then doing level 1 where they'll do didactic coursework and fieldwork experiences, and then completion of the COSUDS counseling program. So they'll have that certificate, and then they'll also have accrued a certain number of hours that can be used toward the 6,000 hours that are required of ADAD for CSACs. And then if this learner moves on to level 2, they'll go into on-the-job learning, which is through the apprenticeship program. And through there, they'll work under the supervision of a journey worker. So this is somebody who has a CSAC or somebody with a master's level education in one of the helping professions. They'll do the on-the-job learning where they'll accrue an additional 1,600 hours of experience. And then upon completion, the learner will have their COSUD certification and just 2,000 hours left before being eligible to sit for that CSAC exam. So what we want to do here for you is just zoom out to see our comprehensive program sort of from start to finish. And we're running a little bit low on time, and we want to make sure that there's enough time for Q&A. Shall we just move into Q&A? No, there's some time. Okay, then I'm gonna engage you folks, and we're gonna do a little bit of a quiz. And so, oh, thanks. Hello. Oh, okay. Hello. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go through just a few questions. Some of these are gonna be related to our presentation, and other things are gonna be more general SUD related. So you can shout it out, you can raise your hand, but we just want to engage you as we close out our presentation. So the first question is, in 2020, there were approximately blank neighbor island referrals for substance use disorder treatment facilities on Oahu. So how many approximately individual referrals were made for folks on neighbor islands to come get SUD services here on Oahu? Does anybody remember kind of ballpark what it was? C? I'm hearing maybe BC. Okay, I heard C, so it was C. It's about 230. So lots of neighbor island referrals coming in because there's a lack of services and really a lack of providers in our rural and medically underserved communities on the neighbor islands. Which component of the cannabis or marijuana plant is psychotropic? THC, I heard. Thank you, sir. I heard it's THC. All right. Yep, that's correct. It is THC. And so here's the structural differences and also the physiological effects of THC versus CBD. A common reason people may use substances, even if they know that it may be unhealthy for them, to cope with trauma, to feel pleasure, experience a high, to enhance their performance, or all of the above. All of the above, unanimous. All right. What are examples of prescription stimulant misuse? Taking it that was not prescribed, more than your prescribed dose, in a med other way than prescribed, or all of the above? All the above. Hey, there you guys are good. Okay. Hawaii is ranked blank in the nation in per capita providers. 44. Oh, you guys are good. Okay. Which of the following is true regarding opioids? They tell your brain to block pain and can make you feel relaxed. Can be dangerous if misused, used to treat severe pain, or all of the above? All the above. Look at you experts. Okay. Driving after using cannabis, marijuana isn't dangerous like driving after drinking alcohol. True or false?
The same way that alcohol
True. It is dangerous, yeah. So a little bit different from alcohol, but generally speaking, false, right? We shouldn't drive after using cannabis, right? But thank you for your explanation, sir. All right, true or false? Neighbor Island students are not eligible to participate in HBHDI as all Leeward Community College COSETS courses are now in person. False. Yes, this is false. So we want to highlight that Neighbor Island students can engage in our program and through a host school at one of the colleges that Dr. Williams mentioned, they can be enrolled there, but they just have to be enrolled in the remote classes of COSETS at LCC. Okay, MDMA, ecstasy, or Molly produces its effects by increasing activity of which neurotransmitters in the brain? Serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, or all of the above? All the above, there we go. HBHTI awardees will accumulate on-the-job training hours that may count toward their what kind of certification? CSAT, there we go. And then that's just a note for the other types. We want to put our funding notice here that we are a project that's supported by HRSA, as Dr. Hong mentioned in the beginning. And we want to thank you so much for your time. This has been a really great opportunity for us to collaborate and increase our substance use workforce. Yeah, I'll take any questions. Yes.
Oh, maybe.
Sorry, so your question was
Accepting to Gwen.
so the question for Zoom, if you want to address this, Dr. Williams, applications for spring versus fall cohort and sort of application schedules, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So people can come in spring. However, it may not be, we may not be taking any more applicants for the grant this year. So it wouldn't happen until fall again. You can apply now for spring up to sometime early December is the cutoff date. You have to get your UH application in.
Dr. Williams, just wondering where if you had any comment regarding establishing partnerships on Kauai Island for both level 1 and level 2. We just discussed that that's something that we're working toward. And so if a student from Kauai wanted to do HBHTI, how they could get connected, and if you have any comment on that regarding level 1.
Yeah, so I made a visit to Kauai in the spring and met with about 5 potential agencies and a couple kind of on the side that might be available. So some of those, the one that we're using right now that has had 2 of our interns is Child and Family Services and their substance use disorder program. And so they might be willing to become an apprenticeship site. However, their funding is also limited. And this is what we're running into is who's going to hire these people once they graduate. And that's the concern we have. We right now have about 4 to 5 people in Kauai who will need placements next year. The other area, some of these people come from Women in Need on Kauai. So it seems like Women in Need will be willing to work with some of their employees who are not at this point working in SUD field, but working in allied jobs with them. So they're supportive also. I had contact also with the courts, and during COVID, it was very shut down program, but they promised that it would open up and there would be more opportunities for interns to work with them in the future. And we're crossing our fingers on a youth healing center that was just that never opened, that we think may open with a new contract, but we have to wait for that. And the other area is Hinamauka Teen Care has a number of different sites in high schools, I believe even some middle schools on Kauai, and that's run by Mary Pacheco on Oahu, but she goes back and forth to Kauai. So those are the options that we have right now on Kauai.
Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Can I just answer a quick question that was in the chat box in Zoom? This is Clifford Bersamira. Somebody in the chat asked, they're interested in getting the CCJP credential, the criminal justice credential, and whether or not they needed to be supervised by another CJP. I actually don't know the answer to that, but I will follow up with our partners at Department of Health's or ADAD's quality assurance who oversee. Actually, I see a hand in the audience. Somebody probably has it or knows. Yes. Yes, that's what I figured. But the answer is a CSAT can actually sign off for the clinical supervision. Thank you, Michelle. No. Oh, CSAT. Yes, CCJP needs to sign off for a CCJP's. Okay, a CSAT can sign off for it for a CCJP. Thank you for that clarification. If you have, if you wanted to follow up with more information on the CCJP, I do recommend going on the ADAD website. On the application itself, there's further description. And if you email me at our program, HISUPD@hawaii.edu, I'm happy to connect you to the ADAD team.
My name is Seunghey Hong. I'm a physician assistant, and for most of my career, I worked in primary care settings with a significant patient population who suffer from substance abuse. So I say that this background to say I'm a huge advocate for growing a primary care team, that interdisciplinary team, and having CSAP on staff. But my question then is, with this training, is there an interdisciplinary education aspect or even a panel? Because I find in medicine, there's a limited understanding of CSAP and what value they can bring to your practice. Likewise, I worked on a state behavioral health project for a year, and I found many CSACs that were unfamiliar with how providers in medicine would encounter and work with patients with substance use disorder. So creating an opportunity for those two worlds to understand each other, right? So we can work together.
Yes, definitely. We are developing a curriculum for this program. So we definitely will plan that panel as a part of our training. So thank you for bringing that up.
I can answer that a little too. I mean, we on behalf of the Hawai'i SUPD program, we haven't done any sort of advanced planning just yet, but one of the things that we're very mindful of is the importance of interprofessional education. And UH has a really great interprofessional sort of network already that provides these scenarios for our students across the Manoa, anything from social work, JAPSOM, nursing, dietitian, but we also work with UH Hilo students as well as pharmacy. And so one of the things that we're considering is creating substance use related scenarios that these students could actually learn from, regardless of which medical discipline. But that, again, that's sort of down the road. We're sort of pre-planning.
Any two questions say, I'm a medical doctor, also licensed acupuncturist, and right now we try to work by bringing the energetic medicine to JAPSOM and or the doctor's group, because I find out acupuncture and energetic medicine very helpful for chronic pain, which medication doesn't work, and that's why people going to opioid and all that kind of stuff. And this kind of technique needs to be learned. And I want to just give it a start. It's not there yet. but put that in mind that when these are connected with the primary care doctor for the learning, there's also excellent technique, tackle solution. It's very easy to learn. It's the psychology plus the energetic medicine to tell your body how to release all of the blockage, working with your body, it's happening acupuncture. It's very easy to learn and it's very effective. And it's already out there. Thousands of people learning it already. It's not doing that. And we just want to give you a start that there are very good, effective technique without drugs and without this part of emotional issues.
Thank you for that. I think that's really important to keep in mind. And as you were describing the alternative medicines or energetic medicines, one thing that came to mind in our planning on Hawai'i SUPD is, I think in the state we know and we're very mindful of the importance of Native Hawaiian healing practices and indigenous healing practices in supporting people's wellness and recovery from substance use. And in the same sort of breath, I think we do need to consider these alternative practices or energetic practices, as you mentioned as well. So that's a really good.
I just want to briefly, there was a question in the chat that came about sites on Kauai, and I just want to reiterate what Dr. Williams said about actively working on establishing partnerships on Kauai for level 1. Dr. Williams did take the trip out there, so I just want to reiterate that for the question in the chat.
So we are continuously establishing the partnership for level 1, both level 1 and level 2 across the university.
Yes, so you can,
Can you again repeat the question?
oh, yes, sir. So if there are, for recruitment or where to contact us, the best way to contact us is through our email, which is hbhti@hawaii.edu. Yeah, that is where we get a lot of questions, and a lot of our learners now have contacted us that way, just inquiring. So please, the QR code here is a link to our website. Our website also has an interest form. So either way, we'll receive that. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that.
It should be the radio training.
Thank you for that. Actually, we'll make sure that's not actually.
Any other final questions for us? Is there anything in the chat?
Who is the largest employers for CSAT graduates?
That's a really great question. My best educated guess would be the judiciary, if I have to guess. I know that there's a large proportion of substance use professionals in the justice system, but I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know the answer. Does anybody know?
I'll say that it's nonprofits in general.
Nonprofits generally.
Private nonprofits make up the biggest employers in the state.
Well, if there aren't any additional questions, we're nearly at time. Mahalo so much for attending and all of your questions.